Good morning, guys. It is Tuesday morning. So today, like I did yesterday, I think it actually went really well. I talked about my personal development that I've been doing and how to apply it to your regular everyday life, not just for people that own home businesses, but a way to kind of use it for your own weight loss, health and weight loss journey. So this morning's reading was on the 4 degrees of action. So what does that really mean? So the 4 types of action that people take. So there's 4 types of action. The first one is people that do nothing. They take no action. Their alarm goes off. They don't get up in the morning. They just stay in bed. They don't do anything. No action. Type number 2 is the retreater. Somebody who runs away from the things that they're supposed to do. Number 3 is the average action taker, which most of us are an average action taker, including me lately, been an average action taker. And then the 4th one is someone who takes massive action. So those are the people in Beachbody who are top 10 coaches, elite coaches, people that build their crazy businesses in their first year as a coach. Those are people that take massive action. So as I was reading that this morning, this is from the 10X Rule by Grant Cardone. So as I was reading this chapter this morning, I was just thinking of what kind of action I've taken in the different parts of my life. So I think on average, I have actually been a retreater in the past. I just ran away from responsibilities. That's how I ended up getting kicked out of college. The first year I was in college, I went to UW River Falls when I turned 18. That's where I went to college, and I was there for 4.5 years. Did not have a degree. Not even close to having a degree in 4.5 years. My last semester there, I did not go to class at all. I did not take tests. I did not write papers. I didn't do anything. And obviously I got kicked out of school. I was a retreater. I did nothing. I went to the bar. That's what I did. And I worked at McDonald's. That's what I did. And not a good thing to be doing when you're 22 and you need to be having a future, but I didn't want one. I just wanted to mooch off my parents and just do whatever I wanted. So I was totally a retreater then. And then I just became an average, doing just enough to get by, just enough to pay my bills, just enough to keep my job, just enough. That's the kind of person I became after I got kicked out of college. I moved to Minneapolis from River Falls and didn't want to go home, obviously. I didn't want my parents to know I was a retreater and that I did all that myself and it was me rebelling against them. I didn't want them to know that, so I just did just enough to get by. Just enough. Dated average people, had average friends, just did just enough to keep my friends, just enough to keep my boyfriend, enough to keep my job, enough to pay my bills. I mean, sometimes I didn't even have enough to pay my bills because I was an addict. I was an alcoholic. Sometimes I had to ask my parents for money to pay rent. Sometimes I had to do that, so I wasn't even being average then. Then I was in an abusive relationship. I got pregnant. I was a retreater. I ran away from my responsibilities. I didn't know what to do. And then all of a sudden I decided I was going to take massive action. That's when I left him. I moved from Minneapolis back down to Lake Geneva, moved in with my parents. I had to take massive action to find a job. And then again, I didn't do anything. I was depressed. I was realizing I was a single parent. But I got a job, things worked out. And again, I just did just enough to get into Whitewater. I did take massive action. I worked really, really hard. I had a 1.1 GPA. There was no way they were going to let me back in. So I had to prove that I could do it. So I took 2 classes, got 2 A's, massive action. So I proved that I could do it. And I got good grades. I was paying for college myself. I had to take massive action. So I was going to school full time. I was working 20 hours a week at Starbucks so I could have insurance for my son. I was fighting my son's father in court. Massive action. I knew what I needed. I knew what I wanted. I knew I needed a college degree. I ended up getting my master's degree from a private college, massive action to get into college there. At one time I was doing my internship for my undergrad, taking 2 graduate level classes, working, still being a parent, still doing what I knew I need to do, massive action. But then, you graduate from college, you get a job, and again, you just do enough to get by. And that's really what I was doing. I was just doing enough. I was just doing enough as a Beachbody coach to have a little extra money every month. Just doing enough. And I am a just do enougher in most areas of my life. In last year, in 2016, I was a retreater. I'm going to be honest. I was a retreater. I ran away from my business. My business had been successful. I had put in massive action in 2014 and 2015 because I wanted Beachbody to replace my social work income. When we had kids, I wanted to stay home with my kids. So I put in massive action. I was working a full-time job with an hour commute each way. So that was 10 hours of commuting a week. So I put in massive action. I listened to personal development for those 10 hours every week. I was always listening to personal development. I was always doing trainings. I was always reaching out to people. I was always making relationships. I was always inviting. I was working on my own fitness journey. I was working. I was raising my kids. I was taking care of my husband. I was taking care of the house. Massive action. I didn't watch TV. I slept maybe 6 hours a night. I had goals and dreams, and I knew I did not want to have strangers raise my kids. I knew it. Took massive action. And that is how I brought my income disclaimer, Beachbody does not guarantee any level of income. That's how I brought an income about $150 a week to an income of over $1,000 a week in just a year and a half. That's massive action. That is, I'm trying to do the math in my head. That is a 500% increase, pay increase. Massive action. I was making double with my Beachbody business than I was making as a social worker. And, got pregnant in beginning of 2015 and found out we were having twins. And then it was even more massive action. I wanted to not return to my job after my maternity leave. I wanted to stay home. We wanted to be at 6 figures. I didn't have enough massive action for that to happen because, things happen in life. We had twins, 6 days old. One of them had a cardiac arrest. She was down for too long. Her brainstem died. At 12 days old, we had to turn off the machines. That kind of thing will affect your action. From that point forward, I have not taken massive action. I'm going to be honest. I not only did average action, sometimes I did no action. Those of you that have lost a child, have lost a parent, have lost a sibling, have lost someone very, very close to you, you don't want to do anything. You just want to stay in bed. And that was what I was. I was a no action person. Even a retreater at times. I ran away from the success I had had. I was like, I can't keep that up. There's no way, I'm not the same person as I was. And I think that's really about, your level of action is going to change. But if you have dreams and goals and wishes and wants and things you really, really want, you have to create massive action. So I am back in the process of creating massive action. So the end of last week through this week, I've created massive action. I have been getting up at 7 a.m., going to bed between midnight and 1 a.m. I'm working when my daughter is sleeping. I'm working when my son goes to bed because my husband's here. He can take care of my daughter. So I'm not feeling guilty that I'm having to work while she's awake. My husband's here. He can take care of her. He needs the time with her. He wants the time. Never assume that your significant other, your boyfriend, your husband, whoever does not want time with your kids. They do. If they work a 9-to-5 job, chances are at nighttime, they would like that time with them. I know he loves that time with her at nighttime. And who am I to deny him that time? Why not spend that time working? Yes, it's true. When my son gets home from school about 4:30 until about 8:30, my time is for my kids. Those 4 hours are for my family. People who create massive actions still have priorities and still have to give their family time. And that's still very, very important to me. It's my number one priority. But you better believe I'm up at 7, do my personal development first, get him on the bus, do my video, work out, work. Then I work until about 11. Take a shower because that's about when she's going to wake up. So I usually time it just right. When I get out of the shower, she's waking up. You know, I can give her breakfast. She likes to watch Sesame Street. I'm still doing work. I'm going to be honest. I am doing work when she's awake for about a half hour to an hour. But then an hour and a half, my phone's gone. My phone's put aside. She gets my time. That's me, mine and hers, one-on-one time, just for me and her. Because, as I said, time freedom is the most important thing to me, because I can take these time with my kids and still work about 8 hours a day. That's about how many hours? 8 to 10 hours a day of work. You know, because I consider these videos working. Working out is working. I'm being a product of the product. Prepping food is working. Those are things that I need to do for my business. I need to do to be successful, to be a product of the product. So, you know, she's up for about she wakes up, she's up for about 2 hours. So she eats for about a half hour, 40 minutes. And then I have another hour, 20, hour and a half for her, me and her time. Play with toys, snuggle, whatever she wants to do. That's her time. And then she goes to bed to take her nap, and guess what I'm doing? I'm working again. I'm working. I have it set from this time to this time. I'm doing this. I set timers on my iWatch. I make sure I'm doing just that for that amount of time. So if I'm set to just invite people, I'm going to invite people for that hour. If I'm set to build relationships with people, I'm going to build relationships with people for that hour. So if I'm not responding to your messages right away, it is because that is how I'm doing it. I have it set up specific 30-minute to hour time frames where I'm doing just that. Because if I don't, I get distracted, you know. And she usually wakes up about 4:30. And that's when 4 hours of 100% unplugged time starts. So from 4:30 to 8:30, I am not responding to messages. I am not responding to emails. I am not sending out invites. I'm not building relationships, because that 4-hour period of time is the time for my family. Maybe I'm folding some laundry or something. That's fine. That's what I need to do. I'm cooking dinner. That is time for my family. Obviously, there are days my son stays at my parents'. That changes a little bit, but I work from home. I do this to be able to have time with my family. And even though I'm giving them 4 hours of undivided time, I'm still taking massive action, because as soon as he goes to bed at 8:30, I am back to working. You know, as I said, my husband is home at night. He likes that time with her. So he has about 2 hours with her, because she tends to go to bed about 10:30. And I'm still working. He understands that. There's time on Fridays and Saturdays for just us. Tuesdays, we have dinner together, just us. You know, there's still time for my husband. But I have to create that massive action. I have to be like, I'm only going to go to sleep for 6 hours a night. I'm not going to sleep 8 to 9 hours a night. I'm not going to waste my time watching reruns of Friends or House Hunters or whatever I want to. I'm not going to waste my time doing that, because it's a waste of time for me. When I've created my 6-figure income, which is my ultimate goal, which could take 2 years from now, which is fine. Once I reach that goal, I can let up a little bit and have that time, more time with my family. But until then, I have to create massive action. I have to put in the time and the effort and really work on my goals. So that's what it's about. You know, if you have goals, if you have dreams, if you have things you want to accomplish, you need to put in the massive action. Don't just put in average action and let yourself have average results. Go for extraordinary results, massive results. So that's really all I wanted to say today. Hope everybody has a fantastic Tuesday. It is time to work out. Bye, guys.